Before the dragon, before the Iron Throne, before the Targaryens united a continent under fire and blood, there was a history etched into the very stones of the land, a story of magic, migration, and war that forged the Seven Kingdoms. This is the saga of Westeros, a tale stretching back thousands of years into the mists of time, long before the name Aegon the Conqueror was ever spoken. It is a history of forgotten pacts, legendary heroes, and the long, cold darkness that threatened to consume the world. Join us as we journey back through the annals of time to uncover the epic story of the realm, from its mystical origins to the dawn of a new dynasty. This is the history of Westeros before the conquest. In the beginning, there was no Westeros as we know it. There was only a vast, untamed continent shrouded in primordial mystery. This was the Dawn Age. The land was a canvas of towering forests with trees as pale as bone, and a world teeming with colossal beasts. In this ancient realm lived the children of the forest, a diminutive and graceful people with nut-brown skin and large, cat-like eyes. They were not builders of castles or forgers of steel. Their power was woven into the fabric of the world itself. They communed with nature, speaking in the true tongue of rustling leaves and flowing water, and carved faces into the weirwood trees, their silent, weeping sentinels. They wielded a potent and ancient magic, shaping the world around them. And they were not alone! In the mountains and cold plains roamed giants, immense and simple creatures who rode mammoths into battle. For countless centuries, this was the undisputed domain of the old races, a world of deep magic and quiet existence. This tranquil age was shattered by the arrival of a new people. Across a land bridge known as the Arm of Dorne came the first men. They were tall, strong, and wielded weapons of bronze and shields of leather. Fleeing their own continent, they saw the vast forests of the children not as a sacred home, but as a resource to be tamed and exploited. They cut down the weirwoods, burning the sacred groves and carving out settlements for themselves. War was inevitable. The children, facing an existential threat, used their powerful magic to break the Arm of Dorne in a futile attempt to halt the migration, but it was too late. The conflict raged for generations until both sides, weary of endless bloodshed, met upon a small island in the center of a great lake, the God's Eye. There, on the Isle of Faces, they forged the pact. The first men swore to cease their destruction of the weirwoods, and in return the children of the forest ceded the open lands, retreating to the depths of their forests. The first men adopted the old gods of the forest, and an era of peace, the Age of Heroes, began. This was a legendary time, giving rise to figures whose names still echo through the ages. Bran the Builder, who raised Winterfell and the Wall. Lan the Clever, who swindled Casterly Rock from its original masters. And Garth Greenhand, the mythical High King of the First Men. But this golden age was plunged into an unprecedented winter that lasted a generation. It was called the Long Night. From the uttermost north, the lands of always winter, a new and terrible foe emerged. The others, known to us as the White Walkers. They were beings of ice and cold with eyes like blue stars, who raised the dead to serve in their armies. Darkness and cold swept across Westeros, and humanity teetered on the brink of extinction. In their darkest hour, the first men and the children of the forest united one last time. The fabled last hero sought out the children, and together they fought back the tide of darkness in the great battle for the dawn. Following their victory, Bran the Builder, with the help of giants and the magic of the children, raised the Wall, a colossal fortification of ice and sorcery, and established the Night's Watch to guard the realms of men against the horrors of the North. Millennia later, a new wave of invaders landed upon the shores of Westeros. They were the Andals, a tall, fair-haired people from the hills of Andalos in Essos. They brought with them steel, writing, and a new religion, the Faith of the Seven. Where the first men had come to coexist, the Andals came to conquer. They saw the worship of the old gods as heresy, and a holy war consumed the continent. They carved 7-pointed stars into their flesh and swept through the southern kingdoms, toppling the dynasties of the first men one by one. The children of the forest faded into myth and legend, hunted and driven from their lands forever. Only the north, under the kings of winter, successfully resisted the Andal tide, preserving the bloodline and traditions of the first men. In the south, the Andals established new kingdoms, intermarried with the old nobility, and the Faith of the Seven became the dominant religion. Over centuries, these conflicts and cultural fusions settled into the political landscape we would recognize. The Seven Kingdoms, each ruled by its own powerful house. From the dawn of magic to the rise of new gods and kings, the history of Westeros was written in conflict, alliance, and the unending struggle for survival. The stage was set, the great houses were in place, and the intricate web of power, ambition, and ancient grudges was woven tight. The continent was a fractured mosaic of proud and independent kingdoms, unaware that from across the narrow sea, a new force was gathering. A force of dragon lords, the last survivors of a fallen empire, who would soon arrive to unite the realm with fire. The age of conquest was at hand, but the foundations of that conquest, the very soul of the Seven Kingdoms, were forged in the long and bloody history that came before. This was the world that Aegon Targaryen and his sisters would find,